everyone. Thank you all for attending our February Beat the Winter Blues session on self-care to help battle burnout. It's my pleasure to welcome our guest speaker today, Layla Grace. Layla is the director of Grace Revealed LLC and a renowned burnout prevention specialist with a passion for helping individuals overcome self-destructive patterns. Layla has dedicated her life to guiding others towards emotional sobriety and a path of healing. She was the recipient of the prestigious 2020 Entrepreneur of the Year award from the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce. Layla has been recognized for her exceptional contributions in the field of personal development, growing from her own experiences as a survivor of childhood and adult trauma. She has emerged as a beacon of hope and resilience. Layla has captured audiences around the world with her powerful message of overcoming shame and breaking the cycle of chronic relapse. In her groundbreaking book, Relapse No More, The Way Out, Layla shares invaluable insights and practical strategies for achieving emotional sobriety with a compassionate and empathetic approach. She provides readers with the tools they need to navigate the challenges of self-destructive patterns and find lasting healing. Through her work, Layla Grace is on a mission to empower individuals and to reclaim their lives, embrace their true potential, and create a future free from the grips of addiction and trauma. Her unwavering commitment to make a positive impact has touched the lives of countless individuals, offering them a guiding light on the journey towards emotional well-being. Thank you, Layla, for hosting our Zoom today, and thank you everyone for attending. And I just wanted to remind everyone to stay muted if you're not speaking at this time, okay? Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Jess. Glad to be here. All right. Was there anything else, or are we ready to rock and roll?
Ready.
All righty. Glad you guys are here. All right. So I'm going to just remind you real quick. Thank you again, Jess. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Becky. Thank you, Daryl. Thanks for everybody that has put into us being here today. Katrina, nice to see you. Ashley, Susan, Denise. It is a really special time to dial in. So I'm going to ask you guys to kind of push away distractions. If you're able to either mute your phone, like put it all the way on silent, or whatever you can do to kind of minimize distractions. Also, I'm going to ask you to take a quick moment and grab yourself a pen and something to write with. Emily sent out this awesome little agenda I'm going to be following today, so you can have that handy, whatever you need to get the most out of this. I'm also going to ask you to keep your video on if you can. All right, this is the show that you're kind of participating, but it also helps to get the most out of what's happening here, all right, today. So I'm grateful that we get to record this so that we can share it with other folks that aren't able to make it. But beating the winter blues is no joke. And that is why we're here today, to exercise some awareness about burnout, but also to leverage some tools that are going to be in our back pocket for when we need them. All right, so let's see. I just have to move my chat so I can actually see it, just in case I need it. Good golly. I'm not the most tech savvy person. All right. So you guys can see my my PowerPoint. And what we're going to do real quick is I'm just going to remind us of why we're here today. So don't you worry if you can't be fully on, but you could be listening. It's going to be so important. My challenge for you today is I want you to be listening for something, even one thing that you can implement in your own life and at work in the next 24 hours. Okay, there might be a quiz later. Maybe not. But I want you to be thinking about one tool that you can implement in the next 24 hours or so. Okay, So on that note, if there's anybody, so the purpose of what we're doing here is to prevent burnout, to beat those winter blues, but to refresh you with some, maybe a new take on things that you've heard before or something that you've never even thought about for your own practical well-being so that you can show up the best version of yourself, whether you're at work, whether you're being a spouse, whether you're being a sister or a brother, or whether you're or just want to be the best colleague or professional at what you do. Is going to be important for you to just recognize one thing that you can implement in the next 24 hours. So thanks again, Jess, for that amazing introduction. It's a mouthful, but basically, I'm Layla Grace with Grace Revealed. We specialize in burnout prevention and helping people identify tools that are going to activate their best self. So higher level of who you are mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, where you feel like you can give from a full well and not an empty cup. All right? Does that sound good? Everybody with me? If you're with me, you can use those reactions in the chat. You can thumb up, you can heart, whatever's your jam. You can put stuff in the chat as well. Because it's really a useful tool for us during our time here today. So please feel free to leverage that and participate. Yeah. All right. So let's go. All right. I kind of already did this, but if you're following along, I did ask you to kind of, put a little digital detox, move those distractions aside if you can. We understand if you can't, so just kind of dial in the best that you can to be listening. Please grab a pen and paper because this is going to be important. This is how you're going to grab what you want to personally feel like you can activate in the next 24 hours or so for your well-being. Okay. All of that we already did. Boom, boom, boom. All right, let's jump in. Are you guys ready? All right, we're going to have some time toward the end of our session today for questions and answers. But if something really starts brewing inside of you, please feel free to, my little whiteboard, getting a little excited over here. Oh, sorry about that. Just got attacked by a whiteboard. I'm back. Okay, and I'm okay. So where was I? Whew. Somebody remind me. I wasn't anticipating a smack in the head. Okay, so we are going to look at understanding burnout. And these are just for some awareness, okay? Sometimes we may not be particularly paying attention to something just because it's annoying, okay? So I felt like there was one more thing I wanted to share with you guys about it, but I'm going to move through this pretty quickly because I want to get into the activation tools. Oh, so here we go. Has anybody, to make sure you put your raise your hand in the reactions if you have a question, especially if you feel like you have a burning question. It may really add value to all the other listeners if you simply raise your hand. Okay. And then once we call on you, then you can unmute, throw out your question. You're welcome to use the chat too if you have a question. The more interaction is great. It's not a bad thing. It's welcomed because sometimes when we're in the moment on a particular topic, you may have a question surface for you. Feel free to interrupt me or put it in the chat or raise your digital hand and we can see where that takes us. Okay. Burnout. So these are some of the signs and symptoms to be paying attention to. The reason why we're going to spend a few minutes looking at understanding burnout is to be aware of, is this something that I'm dealing with right now? Because when we either just numb or kind of ignore the signals, let me tell you, they can get worse. But when we identify, when we become aware, burnout aware, then we can actually spend some time looking at that particular thing so it doesn't fester, so that we can actually take care of it and then move forward, right? The worst we can do is ignore something, ignore, and then it's worse. And then it's going to be a lot more work to recover from if we ignore it. Make sense? All right, awesome. Okay, so the definition of burnout is on the screen, but it's a syndrome resulting from chronic workplace stress that has not been successfully managed. Okay, it's a long-term stress reaction marked by emotional exhaustion. Okay, so an example of that is you got your 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Whoever sleeps 9 hours is awesome. But okay, right? Awesome, love it. I do occasionally on weekends. So you got your 7 to 9 hours, but you're still feeling emotional fatigue. You know, has anybody ever done that where you slept but didn't feel rested? Boo, that's not quality sleep, right? So, emotional exhaustion, depersonalization. So you start pulling away from your job. You're like kind of checking out, like you're physically there, but your mind's like, oh my God, I'd rather be on a cruise somewhere, right? Or whatever, right? You with me? So depersonalization, you start to disconnect from your people, right? You guys are loving on these people. You have particular giftings that are helping people in their time of need. But if you start to check out, I promise you, they're going to sense that. They're going to pick up on that, right? A lack of sense of personal accomplishment. I definitely want to be a resource for developing ourselves. And when we have a struggle taking care of ourselves, then improving ourselves gets, pushed aside. So thank you, Emily. She just put it in the chat, some signs of burnout, right? Exhaustion, dreading work, trouble sleeping, depression, feeling like you're drowning, like you can't handle one more request. You're short-tempered, right? You like find yourself snapping at people you wouldn't normally snap at. And you're like, well, that was weird. It kind of comes out. And then this is the worst part of burnout. Please pay attention to this, is when you have no time to have fun, to do things that bring you joy. If one of the only things that you said, I'm going to try this in the next 24 hours, is I am going to look for something that brings me joy. Somehow I muted myself. Oops. You can throw it in the chat too if you're thinking of something. Even planning, right? Planning ahead for something fun. Just the planning can stimulate our brains a little bit, give you a little boost. All right. So once we're aware, then the stress can be managed. Okay. Please bear with me and just recognize that the awareness is the most important part. What we starve dies, and what we feed grows. Okay. It's a basic farming principle, but it really does apply to us as human beings and our needs. Yes, I like that. I saw in the chat. All right. I'm just real quickly, I want to share with you like a get real moment that I had my own personal experience with burnout where I was working probably, if I was really honest with myself, about 60, 70 hours a week. I was in commercial architecture and construction. I had projects all over, people all over, but most importantly, I had a phone that was attached to my hip and I didn't know how to say, this is where work ends and I begin. This is where my life begins and my work ends, to have that clear line like life before cell phones, right? So I ended up bedridden for 18 months. And then I woke up and really had to deal with myself, where my pain started and what I wasn't talking about, so that I could walk out the process of healing and actually live a life with healthy boundaries. So I lost, once I started working through some of the emotional pain and some of the things that I had done to ignore myself, I was able to take off and leave off over 65 pounds of weight. But I also had the emotional boost because I wasn't buried under the pain and the shame and things that I just didn't talk about. So then you'll hear a little bit more maybe later, but I was able to capture that process to help other people, to help you heal, to know where to start. When you're really burnt out, it's very difficult to know, where do I start, right? When you've gone without sleep for too long, or you've given from that empty cup one last time, and you're like, where do I start? Let me just tell you, there is power in the pause, okay? There is power in the pause. When I tell you doing nothing led to my healing, I got an assignment from a coach. They're like, you need to do nothing. And I was like, what? How do you do nothing? Has anybody ever done that? You doers out there, people that like a process, right? They're like, actually, you have to do nothing. And I was like, how do I do that? What does that even mean? What's the steps? Is there a video on that? You know, I was like, how do I do that? And seriously, so what I had to do is set a timer. You can try it 90 seconds at a time. That's 1 minute and 30 seconds. And you can shut your phone all the way off or whatever, and just recharge. You can put your hands like on your lap or wherever like feels comfortable for you, and just close your eyes for 90 seconds. You can picture yourself leaving all the burdens and only receiving hope, peace, love, the next right step, whatever the thing is that nourishes you for those 90 seconds. If you can make it for 5 minutes, you're a champion. If you can make it for 10 minutes, that's like some other level meditation thing that I'm not going to teach on today. All right. Okay. But this is where I went. I had long black hair. I was 220 pounds in a 5'5" frame. And I was completely exhausted mentally, spiritually, emotionally, found this path to healing. And I love to share with people about how to do that. Okay, so we're going to move on. We're in, if you're following along with our outline today, we're going to talk a little bit about the challenges that you guys see on a regular basis. I'm going to ask you to add a little bit here. So to come on in and just tell me a little bit, like, what are a couple things that are really stressing you out in your role? What is it? What's pulling on you right now? Anybody want to kind of throw something out there? You can put it in the chat or unmute quick.
You should all be able to unmute yourself if you'd like to speak. Otherwise, you're welcome to use the chat box.
Okay, husband being laid off. All right, so here we go. I'm going to talk to you about the 3 forms of stress I want you to be aware of, okay? So stressors, there's internal stress, okay? There's stress that's happening inside us. So it might be a little bit of pressure to perform. It might be something you're worried about. Could be a kid, a husband, could be finances, blah, 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 right? Okay, there's things that are happening inside us that are stressing us out. Then we have external stressors, okay? So if you're following along, you want to take notes. 3 forms of stress: internal, external. So it could be a boss, could be expectations, right? Hey, when are you going to get this done? Hey, I need that report from you. Hey, did you follow up with so-and-so, right? I'm kind of spitballing here. And you can add to this too. And then this is the third form of stress that I think sometimes goes to the wayside. Third form of stress I want us to note today is perceived stress. Okay? Perceived stress. Perceived stress is things like, I wonder what they think about me. I wonder what they're going to say, blah, 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 right? Or like, maybe like the world's ending. I don't know, right? Okay. So who's a statistic junkie? Who's with me that likes numbers, statistics? Anybody? Right? We talked about this, Emily. Okay, thank you. So just a really quick note about fear, which is a perceived stress. I'm afraid this is going to happen. Anybody know percentage-wise, like how many percent of our fears actually become true? Anybody want to throw a guess? What percentage of our fears? 3% come true? Okay. And how much percent would you say like never comes to pass? How much percentage would you say never comes to pass? Anybody want to take a guess? All right. I will tell you. Okay, somebody put in there 90%. So 96%, you guys are really close. 96% of our fears never come to pass. Never come to pass. Let's see. I'm going to put something in the chat here. If you haven't ever heard of the acronym for fear is false evidence appearing real. Okay. So when you get those little sneaky fear demons, remember to look them in the face and be like, not today, creepy fear. 96% of you stupid thoughts never come to pass. 4% that actually do come to pass are never as extreme as we imagine, right? All right. So we are going to, I just want to recognize that some of the things that we perceive as stress, like when you're dealing with a client, like somebody that you're supposed to be working with and helping, and say they are like really ramped up, like something's really challenging them, right? And we're tempted to take it all on. We're tempted to be like, oh my gosh, I want to help this person so much, right? You cannot give what you do not have. And I want to be your friendly reminder of that today. You can't give what you do not have. We are responsible for ourselves, and they have certain things that are outside of our control. One of the best prayers I've ever heard was the serenity prayer. If you've ever experienced the 12 steps of recovery or just know the basic short form, it's God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. When you're on site with someone that's incredibly maybe emotionally charged or physically very challenging for you, where it's maybe a little bit more than you can physically handle and you need to ask for help, I want to just take note that that emotional toll can immediately come down a few notches when you say, I accept that I cannot change this, that I'll have courage to change the things that I physically can in this moment. And then I have to have peace with myself that there's certain things that I just cannot control, right? Does that make sense? Sometimes you just have to, we have to give ourselves permission to be off the hook for things that we just is not in our power to control. We can't control people, places, things, circumstances. You know, if you've ever been a parent, sometimes our kids we can barely control, right? What we can control is ourselves. And what we can control is our mind and the internal landscape of our minds. All right, so we are going to jump into some role playing. And to do that, I wonder if I might stop screen sharing, or did you already do it? Let me see. And we're going to bring up, I think I might actually bring up Daryl first, if that's okay. So we're gonna switch it up a little bit, but we are going to take turns. So we have put together a couple scenarios for you to just kind of, we're gonna have some fun with it. But this is this is Daryl's weekend off. I'm going to set it up for you. Okay. And he has already put in, let's see, how many hours did you already work this week, Daryl?
65.
65 hours. Okay. And maybe it's one of those weeks where he put in 40 or 55, right? But here comes his boss wanting to ask him for time, for him to be available for this weekend. And he already knows that it's Daryl's time off. All right. So we dialed in. Let me see. So Daryl and I are gonna be back and forth. I can see you.
Mhm.
All right. You ready, Daryl?
I'm ready.
Okay. So, hey, Daryl, I got a great opportunity for you this weekend, and I need you to put in those hours. It's one of the people that you are already really good working with, but I'm going to need you for probably between 4 and 10 hours. All right, sounds good. You're going to actually make some extra money too. All right, what do you think about that for your availability?
I don't think that's going to work, because if I say yes to you, I'm going to have to say no to my physical state, my mental state, my peace of mind, my family, and I'm not willing to do that at this present time.
Wow. Okay. Do you know of anybody else that's available this weekend?
You might want to look at some of the people that only work a couple hours.
All right. So did you hear what happened? So Daryl not just told me no, but he also backed up why. And he did that using a clear boundary. All right. So what happens, Daryl, if you told me yes? So what would happen for you if you worked, just not that you've ever done this before, but for real, if you worked on a weekend, you were supposed to be off, what would happen to you? How would you feel after that?
Stressed, burned out, tired.
Tired,
Not giving
exhausted?
the individuals what they need.
Right. They're probably going to be frustrated with you. There he goes again. He can't put his work down.
Yeah, that happens.
Right. Okay, you guys. So I want to just use that. We rushed through it a little bit because we had practiced before, but he did really good with that. You know, and saying, hey, the only thing I would add too is I think there's someone else better for this for this overtime than I am. Because if I said yes to you, I'd be betraying myself. I'd be betraying my mental health, and I'm not going to be great to show up next week for my normal working hours. Does that feel okay, Daryl?
Yep.
You can try that next time you're asked to work on your time off?
Well, I'm the supervisor, so I'm the one that's doing the asking.
Well, you know what's kind of funny about that, thanks. So you're the supervisor, right? Is that it's something to pay attention to listen to the tone and people's response. When you have to ask them, right? You guys are short-staffed right now. It's hard to fill those roles. You know, it's hard to say maybe no to somebody that needs services and say, I would love to help you out this weekend, but we can't burn out our staff trying to help you. We're going to do the best that we can Monday through Friday. I don't know your exact working hours, but we're going to have the most refreshed staff that's available to you starting on Monday. But this weekend, our resources are unavailable. Does that feel okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So next session, we have some accrued vacation time. All right. You have some accrued vacation time to use, and you are getting ready. Woo! This is probably how I knocked that thing down. Oh, pardon me. Edit this from the recording. Attack of the easel. Okay, sorry, Jess. All right, so here's the scenario is you have accrued some time off. Anybody accrued some time off? I'm gonna have some vacation time you need to use. Okay. And you're going to talk to your supervisor who's a little high strung and has a lot on their plate right now, but you already have a plan and you are getting ready to put in notice that you need your time off. All right. So
Okay.
go ahead. Jess is gonna step up and I'm gonna be her supervisor. Your supervisor's not on this call, are they?
Well, no.
Oh, yeah, all right.
Hi, Layla. I was wondering if I could take a week off next month. I have a
Whoa.
vacation.
I'm sorry, Jess. You wanted to take a week off next month?
Yeah, I was gifted a cruise for a week.
Oh, you were gifted a cruise for a week. Okay.
Do you think that would work?
Well, you know our caseload right now, Jessica.
I know, but I was really hoping I could go on this cruise. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah, it was gifted to me, all exclusive.
So what are you going to do about your work while you're gone? Do they have Wi-Fi?
I don't think so.
Okay, so here again, she has a reasonable request, excuse me. It's very reasonable, right? You accrue time off and you're entitled to it. That's part of the benefits package of working for an organization, right? This is what people look for when they interview for a job. How much time off do I get, right? That's part of the deal. Is I don't want to work, I don't want to live to work. I want to work so I can play, right? We want money so we can enjoy life, not so that our work becomes our life. Okay, so we want to encourage you. So see how Jess did it? She's real subtle. She didn't want to be offensive. I was offensive. I cut her off when she was trying to ask me for vacation time, right? So what I want to encourage, like Daryl did, is he backed it up and say, hey, if I ignore my own well-being, because the truth is she doesn't owe her boss an explanation of this once in a lifetime cruise. That's extra information that the boss is not really entitled to. She has earned and accrued her time off. She's cashing in on it. One of the things we talked about is Jess could easily say, hey, I have lined up people to process what they can. And when I come back fully refreshed and recharged, I'm going to tackle whatever's waiting for me on the day I come back. Not before that, girl. Not on the Sunday night when you're unpacking your baggage from the cruise, right? You're going to come back refreshed on the day that your away message says you're going to come back, and you'll do the best that you can when you're refreshed from your time off. Make sense? Did you have any other thoughts around that, Jess? Like how you might have done it a little bit different? All right. So go ahead, Becky.
I feel like she could have also added, like, I'm that's why I'm giving over a month's notice or a month's notice so that we have time to find some coverage or backup to help with my work.
That's a good
Because she
point.
gave ample time.
Yep, that's a really good point. Yep. And to say, hey, let's get ahead of this. We're all on the same team.
Right.
Great point. Yep. Anybody else want to chime in on that? All right, this is important, to just recognize tools of communication so that we can get better at improving who we are, because we need time to rest. It's so important. All right, am I back to screen sharing? All right. I don't know if I was on. All right, we ready? My screen is up. It's a little hard for me to tell. Okay, cool. So we are on to the wellness. Let's get into some of the tools and techniques, all right? So burnout versus wellness. Wellness is the act of practicing healthy habits, okay? We talked a little bit about awareness. We talked about how to be aware of the symptoms of burnout, but what do we do with that, right? So please be gentle with yourselves when you notice like, ooh, I'm hedging on burnout. Ooh, I don't want to end up bedridden, right? Where do I begin? Where do I start? So if we can put this graphic in the chat. Oh, she's already on it. Awesome. Okay, so these are things you can download that graphic to check in with yourself. You know, what part of this wheel needs a little bit more attention? Have you been socializing? Okay, social interaction is incredibly powerful, but we have to be deliberate about doing it. If we give somebody a word that we're going to go to an event happening or whatever, even if it's finding something simple on Eventbrite or Facebook events where you can just go to something that interests you. You make time to be interacting with other people that isn't work related. Financial, you might have to have a little finance meeting with yourself or your partner, whoever you do money stuff with, to make sure that you're on the trajectory of where you want to be. A little bit of awareness. There's no shame in being tight here or abundant over here, whatever, to just right size, you know, having peace in these different areas. Emotionally, are you okay? Do you need a tune-up? Do you want to go talk to somebody? Do you need to check in with a therapist? It's really okay to need a little bit of help in these areas. Environmental, you know, when you're at home in the morning, is there time to make your bed? Are there times to tidy up? Are there times to do some cleaning or housekeeping or whatever? Because it really affects our minds. And careers, are you really taking time to love your career? Take care of it, be a steward of it, kind of like that plant picture of, you know, am I feeding this? Do I feel great about this? So those are going to be some things that are very important to keep track of. You know, how am I doing? A little bit of awareness. And if you need a check-in buddy, you can grab somebody that you trust and say, hey, how do you think I'm doing? All right. So let's go. Here are some self-care fundamentals. All right. Here are some self-care fundamentals. And these are some things I want you to take note of. And again, remember in the beginning, and I was like, try, you know, grab at least one thing. If you can do up to 3 that you can try in the next 24 hours, I want you to kind of grab hold of something that you can try. So putting yourself first is an interesting one. There's an acronym, HALT, HALT. If somebody wants to put that in the chat, you can, or write it down, HALT. It stands for hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. So hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. And on the days where you feel really depleted, typically you can start with one of those 4 areas, okay? If you're hungry, would you please give yourself a healthy meal? It can be a big meal, but introduce something that has life in it. Maybe a piece of fruit you add to it. Maybe you add a salad to what you're eating. Add some live nutrients in there, okay? If you're angry, that usually means that there's a need that is not being met. So look into yourself and see, what is there a need, maybe a disappointment, maybe a communication that wasn't perceived correctly, and there will be a way to process where that anger is coming from. If you're lonely, get around somebody. I already talked a little bit about that. Get in community, get with someone, not a family member. Get with someone outside of your usual grind, okay? I hate to say that, but I think sometimes family members are leaned on too much and they're too close to you and your situation, where sometimes you need to get with somebody outside your usual, okay? So it's a challenge to you, especially if you're a loner outer and you really like rejuvenate by yourself and you enjoy loneliness. Just make sure you even give yourself a time limit. I'm giving myself 1 hour to see these people, and after an hour, I have to go. That's my commitment to myself. Thank you. And most grown-ups can respect that. And then tired goes without saying, but please get some rest. Please get some rest. Sometimes you might even need to take a cat nap in between seeing a client or, somebody that you're working with. Naps are real and it's okay to take a nap. All right. The graphic was in here and I am going to keep I only have 10 slides and we're on number 7. So we're doing pretty good so far. Just kind of following my notes along here. Okay. We talked about it a little bit previously, but I don't want to forget without talking to y'all about the power of saying no. Okay. Sometimes we have to say no to our own desires in order to say yes to something healthier. Like you say no to something really convenient through a drive-through, and we say yes to going to the grocery store, to the produce section, to grab the materials to throw together a salad, right? But when it comes to somebody asking something from you that you're not equipped to give, I want to remind you that it is okay to say no to somebody asking something of you if your resources are depleted. And to say, if I say yes to you, I'm going to say no to my well-being. Okay. And that's super important as a communication tool, but it's also a practice of healthy boundaries. On the left of my slide, it says that we can all agree you can't give what you don't have. But I also want to remind you, you can give what you do have. People have different thresholds. Some people are way stronger than I am. Like I am not like a physically strong person, right? But some other people have mental and emotional resources that I don't have or you don't have, right? So know where your threshold is and honor it. If your body sends you a signal, like I'm about to, snap or, please pay attention to that. Those are things to pay attention to. All right. Hey, let me not forget this pink one over to the left of the graphic, and it says to forgive yourself. That is by far one of the most challenging things to do on earth that I've experienced. I don't know about you. I don't know if there's any experts in self-forgiveness, but we all mess up. And I want to encourage you to give yourself a little bit of grace when it comes to forgiving yourself, no matter what it is, because it can release a refreshing energy in you that maybe you haven't experienced in a while. I talked a little bit about doing nothing, but I also want to talk about just scheduling time to rest. Some people actually need to put it on your calendar. This is my time where I'm going to rest. Whether you rest with a blanket and a book, whether you rest with some Netflix, I don't know how you rest, but to schedule it so that you can say, oh, I'm sorry, I already have something scheduled then. You don't owe anybody an explanation, but schedule your time of rest or vacation or a cruise or whatever you need to do. To schedule it, once it gets scheduled, it's more likely for you to have that time to bounce back, right? Okay, so as we get into landing this plane, these are some burnout prevention techniques, and Emily's going to put this graphic in the chat for you as well. So when we have these 5 areas in balance, our lives will be radically transformed. I started to talk about some of them, but what I'm going to do is give you some real practical examples of how you can implement one. Okay, at a time. I'm going to zoom through these, so please pay attention. I'm going to kind of shower you through, and then we're going to open it up for some questions and answers, okay? And discussion. if you have any questions. So hang on to them. I'm going to shower. We're going to go through these and jot down whatever you need to. All right. So eating well is the first one. A well-balanced diet provides fuel for your body and needs to fuel your body needs to operate at its most effective. Okay. A way that you can do this is to plan your next 3 meals. Okay. I think most of us are all in the same time zone right now. So hopefully you had breakfast by now. So you would have lunch, you have dinner, and you would have breakfast for tomorrow. Okay. So if you have your pen and paper, you can put L for lunch, D for dinner, and B for breakfast. And you could simply write down what you'd like to have that would be a life-giving lunch, dinner, and breakfast. You don't have to do it right now, but if you put a note to yourself, think about a healthy salad you could get. If you have 3 different vegetables in it, you're further along than most Americans. So grab at least 3 fresh foods, put in a salad. Grab your favorite salad dressing. I'm not here to coach you on nutrition. I'd love to do that. We don't have time, but some other people have that available. Yay. But just planning 3 meals a day. This is what I want you to hear. 3 meals a day. It doesn't need to be overwhelming to stay in the day. When you have a plan for what you're going to eat and you keep it in front of you, you write it down. Some people, you can get a food journal. When you have a plan for food and you look at it for that day and you prepare, you have the food handy, it creates a sustainable lifestyle that can transform your body, your mind, your spirit, and your relationships. It goes, I don't want to just be like, oh yeah, you guys already know, right? We already know what to eat that's going to be life-giving to your body. It's not the fun or easy choice all the time, but I promise you, when you plan 3 meals a day and you incorporate some life-giving nutrients, it is going to add value to your life. So being active, all right? If you think about 10 minutes of activity, I don't love to exercise, okay? I'm the worst, but I prioritize exercise because I know it's important, okay? 5 miles down the road, I'm not miles, sorry, 5 minutes. 5 minutes down the road, 5 minutes back. That's it. Leave your phone at home, 5 minutes down the road, 5 minutes back. That's 10 minutes. That's all it takes for you to experience a higher level of energy, for you to like yourself more, and for you to breathe in fresh air. It's amazing, even in the cold. I'm a survivor of 36 years in central New York. Like, I get it. This sucks. Okay. I live by the beach now, so choices. All right. That's being active. Getting healthy sleep. Okay. Screens are stimulating. My encouragement to you is no screens after 9. No screens after 9 to allow your mind to begin to detox. No screens after 9. You don't have to listen to me if you don't want to. My encouragement is no screens after 9, because that is going to promote healthier sleep. Grab a cup of tea, please. Take a supplement if you need to. But giving yourself a landing strip to actually wind down to sleep at night and stay asleep through the night, no screens after 9. It is a gift that costs you nothing except for a power off or a face down phone. Okay. My encouragement to you. Reduce your stress. Take time to do things that bring you joy, right? We talked about this already. To take time to think, to prioritize, plan for things that bring you joy. And lastly, to reach out to a friend or go hang out with somebody. Okay, we talked about that already. All right, let me switch this. All right, I just showered you guys with probably about 30 different techniques you could do. Some of them were subtle and some of them were very direct on how to prioritize your well-being with communication, with taking care of your body, taking care of your rest. And I want to open it up for any kind of questions, any discussion that you'd like to have. And let's just talk a little bit about What jumped out to you? What was one thing that you can try in the next 24 hours to help you be your best self? Floor is open. I will call you out if I have to. But I just want to hear from you guys. What, if you have a question for me? All right, I want to try to do nothing for 90 seconds and work up to longer periods of time. Awesome. Okay, so let me see. Bethany said she's going to try. So that's one thing she can do in the next 24 hours. Awesome. Great job listening, Bethany. To try for doing nothing for 90 seconds and work her way up. And let's say maybe you could work your way up in the next week, maybe over the next 7 days, to work up to 5 minutes of doing nothing. Okay, Ashley said I'm practicing self-forgiveness. Yeah, that's not a fun one, but practice makes progress. Okay, practice makes progress. Awesome. What else? What's your one thing you're going to try for the next 24 hours? Anybody need to plan some time off? Everybody. Okay, practice no screens after 9. Katrina, thanks, Katrina. Yeah, you can even set a timer on your phone for 8:55 that gives yourself a 5-minute warning that says, oh, screens are going off at 9. You know, a reminder, 5-minute warning, you know, brush your teeth and get better. I don't know, whatever your routine is. All right, awesome. Practice no screens after 9. What else? What are you willing to try? Oh, yeah. Okay. Plan 3 meals a day. All right. 3 meals a day. Yes. Okay. I want to take time to intentionally do something every day that brings me joy. What's a good example of that for you, Becky?
I was just thinking at lunch to take a walk in the warmer weather today.
Awesome.
I love being outside.
Okay.
There's sunshine, whatever.
Yeah. Can I challenge you to leave your phone?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe leave your phone and go for that walk. Yeah. Hot tea at night to sleep better. From Denise. Thank you. Thanks for that, Becky. Yeah, it's so important. Get out there and move. All right, my choice. Champ said, turn the blue light off for less stress on the eyes. Absolutely. Hot tea at night. Just make sure it doesn't have caffeine in that. I've made that mistake before. Recognize when I'm hungry, angry, lonely, tired, and listen to what my body needs. Yep. And I promise you that if you ignore the signals of your body, it will get worse. Boo. But guess what? When you pay attention and you feed, you listen to those signals that your body's telling you and you take care of them, it goes the other way. You feel better. You're more balanced and you have less to recover from when you really listen and respond. All right. Any other questions or comments before we wrap up this session? I have some free giveaways for you guys today. So I am super, super excited to share. So one of the things that I had asked is for, if you'd like the PowerPoint slides, you can just put a Y in there. You could say yes, or Emily can just send that out to everybody. We want to make sure that you get a copy of these slides so that you can have all those graphics to go back with. Please feel free to share it with a friend or family member, and you can really be reminded of those because they're a tool to go back to. I'm reminded of Pampered Chef. Has anybody ever been to a Pampered Chef meeting before? Do you have any of those tools, right? Okay, they're not like an everyday thing. You have to remember you have like the lemon squeezer, right? You got to remember you have the tool for when you're like scooping out the avocado thing or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you got to remember you have the tool. That's what happens with these tools, right? We got to remember we have them and use them when it's appropriate. Because when you have that Pampered Chef tool, it like makes kitchen life so much easier. You know, a little scrapey outy thing, you know, like, all right. That's not a technical term. I'm, you know, not a chef by any means, but all right. So, thank you again for having me. So we have some winners for today and we have a prize wheel. I don't know if it's going to work out. I think how many people do we have in the room? D. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we are gonna, I'm trying to remember. Oh, can you put in the chat? There's a free, we do weekly wellness emails that can go out. They go out usually on Wednesdays. So what the W is Weekly Wellness Wednesday. Today's Wednesday. But it'll start next Wednesday for you. So if you like to join our free weekly wellness tips, it's just a little boost to remind you to check in with yourself. We usually have like a theme for each week where in midweek you can sign up for that. So Emily put the link in the chat. So please join me for those weekly wellness. You can put a little note in there too if you want to put a comment on today's session. We did a lot in a little bit of time, but there's a lot of practical things that I want to encourage you to get back to some of those basics. Okay. Also, today I'm going to be giving away some digital copies of the book. All right. So if you would like a copy of Relapse No More, it's a guide to emotional sobriety and breaking self-destructive patterns. It's a pretty easy PDF read. So our first winner for today of the PDF giveaway of Relapse No More is Ashley E. Okay, Ashley E, you are going to get a PDF of Relapse No More. And I really hope you get a chance to read it, enjoy it. Yay, congrats. All right, let's do 4 more. All right. And our next winner of Relapse No More is Renee. All right, Renee, we're going to be sending you a copy of Relapse No More. And it has some graphics in there. It has some practical steps you can do. Yay. All right, Renee. And next we have our winner is Jessica. All right, please read it. Enjoy it. And send me a review when you read it, if there's anything that jumps out to you. We got 2 more. My choice champs. Okay. We will be sending you guys that. Really looking forward to it. And one last. We got 1 more to go. Who wants it? Who's gonna get it? Your own copy. Susan. All right. Well, that is so important. So you get 3 giveaways today. You get the PDF of Relapse No More. You all will get a copy of all the slides. Please stay in touch with me. All right. You can get a hold of me, info@gracerevealedllc.com. Our phone number is there. Visit the website, Grace Revealed. It's a long one, Grace, REVEALED, LLC.com. Check it out. And also, congrats to all the winners of the book. I look forward to connecting with you more. Please get a hold of me if you want to follow us along on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We're there. Oh, yes. So Emily made a good point for each of you for attending today's workshop. We are going to send you a certificate for burnout prevention and attending our self-care session. So please make sure to put your email in the chat. And if you would please spell out your full first name and last name so we can put that correct on your certificate for completion. So as we close down, thanks for hanging in there with me. We're going to get off here momentarily. Thanks again, everybody, for having me. I really appreciate you guys and all the work that you do. You're just amazing. I'm really just astounded by what you guys do, how you offer support to people in your communities, and it's really a blessing.
Thank you, Layla, for hosting our Zoom meeting today. And thank you everyone for attending. If anybody's interested, anybody that missed it or would like to see some of the stuff that she talked about today, we are going to have it up on the OADSP TV Plus in about 4 weeks. So the middle of March. You can access OADSP TV through our website, www.oadsp.org. And I just want to thank everybody again for attending our Zoom meeting.
Thanks, Jessica. Becky,
Thank-
Daryl, any final comments?
It was wonderful.
No, thank you, Layla. It was wonderful. Yes. Got
Thank
lots
you,
of
Layla.
attention.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
rest of the week, everyone.
Great
Yes.
to see you all. Thanks for
Bye-bye.
having me, and
you.
hope to stay connected with you all.
Thank you.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.